Within the bustling cobblestone lanes of London, Emma's love was the invisible thread weaving together her family's tapestry of life. Unseen and unappreciated, she bore the weight of domestic duties alone, while her husband Charles reveled in the accolades of his career. Her sudden illness and the resulting chaos shook the very foundations of their home, forcing Charles to confront the harsh reality that no amount of wealth could replace the warmth of her smile or the comfort of her embrace. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Tales with Cekos. Today I am going to share an exciting story with you. In the bustling, often rain-slicked lanes of London, a symphony of hurried footsteps and the rumble of horse-drawn carriages created a ceaseless rhythm. Life, as it always did, marched forward at a swift, almost relentless pace, sweeping everyone along in its current. Among this sea of faces and stories was a man named Charles. He was a creature of habit, his days dictated by the tick-tock of the clock and the demands of his work. Charles, a man of undeniable ambition and a strong belief in tangible results, held firmly to the notion that his tireless efforts in the commercial world and the resulting income were more than enough to keep his household running smoothly. In his mind, he was the engine, the provider, the unshakable foundation upon which his family's life was built. His wife Emma, however, often found herself adrift in this rigid structure. The domestic sphere, the quiet hum of the home, was where her heart lay. She saw a different kind of work, an equally important, if often invisible effort in the daily creation and maintenance of a family's life. She yearned for more than just the financial security Charles provided. She longed for his presence, his help, and the understanding that his contribution was not the only one that mattered. The silent struggles of keeping the house in order, raising their children, and nurturing a welcoming environment often fell on her weary shoulders. Night after night, she would plead with him, her voice tinged with fatigue and a deep, underlying sadness, for him to share the burden, to acknowledge her efforts, and to simply be there. But her pleas seemed to fall on deaf ears. As if programmed to respond with the same cold logic, Charles would invariably reply with a firm, even dismissive, "I earn for this family. I can do as I wish. This house doesn't need you as much as it needs me." The bite of his words was like a wound, a constant reminder of how deeply his worldview differed from hers. They echoed his misguided belief, born from a society that often valued financial accomplishment above all else, that his monetary contributions were the sole measure of his worth, both to the family and himself. He failed to see the intrinsic value of Emma's work, the immeasurable importance of the emotional labor, the connective tissue that held their family together. His words, though delivered with a conviction that bordered on arrogance, were ultimately a stark reflection of his own limited understanding of the true meaning of family and partnership. The bustling city, with all its noise and activity, seemed to have drowned out the quiet whispers of compassion and empathy that Emma so desperately yearned for. Emma, on the other hand, felt invisible in a world that seemed to overlook her entirely. Each day unfolded in a relentless routine that felt more like a silent symphony of obligations than a life of joy. Her hours were consumed by cooking nourishing meals, meticulously cleaning every corner of their home, and caring for their two young children, who were often demanding and full of energy. Despite her unyielding efforts, her voice, laden with thoughts and feelings, was often lost in the cacophony of the bustling city around her. The lively streets of London pulsed with ambition and noise, while the deafening expectations of societal norms wrapped around her like a heavy cloak, suffocating her sense of individuality. In the heart of this vibrant metropolis, even the most progressive minds could not entirely escape the echoes of tradition. These outdated beliefs painted a woman returning to her parents' home as a glaring sign of failure and an unbearable burden. Emma grappled with this societal judgment, feeling as though her worth was tethered to her ability to maintain a perfect household and a happy family. The weight of these expectations often left her feeling like a ghost, haunting the spaces of her own life without ever truly being seen or heard. One fateful morning, Emma awoke to a sense of dread that settled heavily in her chest. She felt unwell, her body burning with fever, and a dull ache resonated through her bones, as if her very essence was weary from the demands of her existence. Yet, she knew that the relentless tide of the day would not wait for her to recuperate. With a deep, steadying breath, she forced herself out of bed and dragged her weary body to the kitchen. She managed to prepare a hearty breakfast for her children, each movement a testament to her dedication, even as she felt the fatigue pulling at her limbs. She packed their lunches with care, tucking in little notes of encouragement, hoping to instill a sense of love and warmth amidst the chaos. After fulfilling these maternal duties, she finally succumbed to her exhaustion and collapsed onto the bed, feeling as if the world was spinning without her. When Charles returned home later that day and noticed her condition, his reaction was swift but hardly compassionate. He barely paused to assess her plight. Instead, he offered a cursory suggestion. "See a doctor," he said dismissively, his tone laced with a sense of obligation rather than concern. Without waiting for a response, he rushed off to the office, his mind already preoccupied with the day's meetings, deadlines, and the relentless demands of his career. In his eyes, his responsibility had been fulfilled by simply suggesting medical help, a notion that left Emma feeling more isolated than ever, as though her struggle was just another inconvenience in his busy life. She couldn't shake the feeling that, despite the love they had once shared, her worth in their relationship had been reduced to that of a mere caretaker, and the tenderness she craved was just beyond her reach. The evening brought no relief, and instead seemed to stretch endlessly into a bleak, restless night. Emma's fever climbed to alarming heights, leaving her in a state of delirium as she tossed and turned under the heavy blankets. The once familiar comfort of her home felt alien and oppressive, and her cries for help pierced the dimly lit air, echoing through the silence of the house. Yet, they were met with an unsettling cold indifference from her mother-in-law, whose demeanor was as unyielding as the winter frost outside. "This house won't fall apart without you, dear," she said with an unwavering tone, serving dinner with a steely resolve that seemed to dismiss Emma's plight entirely. The clatter of dishes and the aroma of food filled the room, yet it was tinged with an underlying tension. "Everything can be managed just fine," she added, her voice lacking any warmth or concern. Emma's heart sank further at the realization that her suffering was not only unacknowledged but also trivialized. The following day dawned with a stark revelation that echoed through the household. With Emma confined to her bed, her fever still raging, the house, once a well-oiled machine that hummed with routine and harmony, transformed into a disorganized mess. The delicate balance that she maintained had crumbled, revealing the chaos lurking beneath the surface. Charles, her husband, rushed around in a panic, desperately searching for his suit for work, only to find it crumpled and tossed carelessly in a corner. The children, too young to understand the severity of their mother's illness, wandered the house with distressed expressions, their cries ringing out in confusion and sorrow. They missed their mother's gentle touch, her soothing voice that could chase away their fears and comfort them in moments of uncertainty. The meals that once seemed to magically appear on the table, lovingly prepared and presented, were nowhere to be seen. The kitchen, usually filled with the comforting scent of home-cooked meals, now stood eerily quiet, the pots and pans untouched, leaving the family to fend for themselves in the wake of Emma's absence. Sandwiches were hastily thrown together, and cereal boxes were opened without thought, creating a stark contrast to the carefully curated dinners that Emma once orchestrated with love and dedication. As the day wore on, the once cohesive family unit began to fray at the edges. The children grew more restless and unruly, their needs going unmet in the absence of their mother's nurturing presence. Charles, feeling overwhelmed by the disarray, found himself at a loss, caught between his responsibilities at work and the growing chaos at home. It became painfully clear that Emma's role was not just that of a caregiver, but the very heart of their household, and without her, everything seemed to unravel. It was then that the realization dawned upon him, like a sudden flash of light, piercing through the heavy fog of his ignorance. The woman who had borne the brunt of his indifference, weathering the storms of his neglect with a quiet resilience, and who had shouldered the weight of all the unspoken words and unshed tears, was the very essence of the order and warmth that had surrounded him. He had taken her steadfast presence for granted, blind to the immense sacrifices she made daily. Her silent strength, like an unyielding pillar, had been the backbone of their family, holding them all together in moments of chaos and uncertainty. It was only in her absence, amidst the profound silence that enveloped their home, that he began to truly comprehend her immeasurable worth. When he finally took her to the hospital, the urgency of the situation clawing at his insides, it was already too late. The doctor's solemn face, shadowed by grief and sympathy, told the story that Emma could no longer articulate with her fading voice. The woman who had given so much of herself, pouring love and care into every corner of their lives without ever asking for anything in return, had been cruelly claimed by the fever that swept through her, leaving behind an aching void that could never be filled. The days that followed were a testament to the overwhelming emptiness that Emma's departure had etched into the fabric of their lives. The once lively London townhouse, which had been a vibrant hub of laughter and warmth, was now transformed into a silent tomb, haunted by the echoes of her joyous laughter and the comforting scent of her cooking wafting through the air. Each room, once alive with activity, felt hollow and bereft, as if the very walls mourned the loss of their beloved matriarch. The children, with their innocent hearts, wept for their mother's comforting embrace, longing for the tender moments that had become their lifeline. Even the mother-in-law, who had once questioned Emma's necessity and often viewed her with skepticism, now found herself adrift and lost in the absence of Emma's guiding hand. She wandered the corridors, a stark reminder of the complexities of family dynamics, realizing that it was Emma's unwavering support that had held them all together, and now, without her, everything felt fragile and precarious. As the days turned into weeks, the family grappled with the harsh reality of their new existence. They shared whispered memories of Emma, trying to cling to her spirit and the love she had poured into their lives. Yet, with every story told, with every tear shed, the understanding of her irreplaceable role became clearer, a realization that left an indelible mark on their hearts, forever changing their understanding of love, loss, and the delicate threads that bind a family together. In the hushed stillness of the night, Charles found himself ensconced in the familiar yet eerily silent confines of the living room. The ticking of the clock, usually a comforting backdrop, seemed to amplify the profound quiet that enveloped him, each tick echoing the loneliness that had seeped into every corner of the house. He sat there, his heart heavy with memories, and in a moment of vulnerability, he whispered to the empty space around him, "This house didn't need me. I needed you, Emma." The weight of her absence was palpable, a gaping wound that marred the fabric of their lives together. It was a void so vast that no amount of tireless work or effort on his part could ever hope to fill it. Emma had been the heartbeat of their home, her laughter, love, and presence weaving an intricate tapestry of comfort and belonging. Without her, the walls felt hollow, and the very essence of the place seemed to mourn her loss. Each room was a reminder of what once was, echoing with the memories of shared meals, cozy evenings, and whispered secrets. Charles understood in that moment that his diligent attempts to keep everything running smoothly, working late hours, managing finances, and tackling household chores were mere band-aids on a deep emotional wound. What he truly craved was the warmth of Emma's companionship, the way she had effortlessly held their lives together with invisible threads of love and sacrifice. This tale serves as a poignant reminder to cherish those who play vital roles in our lives, often without the recognition they deserve. It warns against the folly of overlooking the contributions of those who stand quietly behind us, allowing us to step confidently into the world. Relationships are not merely constructed on the pillars of financial stability or shared responsibilities. They thrive on a foundation built of respect, care, and heartfelt acknowledgement. It is crucial to take a moment to recognize the unsung heroes in our lives, those who may not always seek the spotlight, but whose support is indispensable. The silence left in their absence can become a deafening roar, one that resonates with regret for the times we fail to appreciate their presence, their sacrifices, and their unwavering love. Charles realized that he must strive to transform his home into a sanctuary of love and understanding, a place where every member is cherished for the unique contributions they make, where open expressions of affection and gratitude flow freely, as plentiful as the air they breathe. Only then can they create a nurturing environment that honors the connections that sustain them, ensuring that no one feels overlooked or underappreciated. In this newfound resolve, he began to envision a future where love was spoken aloud, where words of appreciation were as routine as daily greetings. He understood that the legacy of Emma's love must live on, not only in the memories they had shared, but in the way he chose to honor those who remained, ensuring that every moment was a testament to the value of love and connection in the tapestry of life.